Hey, Matt here, checking in from Horror Society, finishing up day two of the Nightmares Film Festival coverage. I've got the guidebook here, so I'm going to go through it and tell you about all the stuff I saw and did on day two of the Nightmares Film Festival. I started the coverage from the Gateway Theater. I told you guys about Daniel Isn't Real in the last post that I did for coverage of day one and Daniel Isn't Real. So you guys saw that hopefully already. So I'm going to pick up from where I left off and just go after Daniel Isn't Real. I followed that up with Girl on the Third Floor and Ghost Killers versus Bloody Mary. Those are the 11 and the 1 p.m. Spots at the festival. And I have to say, unfortunately, I didn't really like these movies. Girl on the Third Floor is kind of a standard haunted house thing. It features a really good performance by CM Punk, the wrestler. He's very good in the movie, and he's fun to watch. So I'm excited to see him maybe do more acting stuff. But this one just wasn't for me. It did try some new stuff within the haunted house thing, but even the new stuff still felt familiar. They may not have necessarily done it in a haunted house movie before, but it was familiar to the genre. So this one I wasn't crazy about. Ghost Killers versus Bloody Mary is kind of like a YouTuber's going in a haunted house, and the haunted house actually ends up being haunted type thing. So it's making fun of like the ghost hunters and those shows like that. But I wasn't crazy about this one. I didn't like the humor in it. It's very juvenile, and not to say that I don't like juvenile humor because I love it. But I just didn't think it was very well done here. The movie felt long. The movie felt like it didn't know when to end. The ending isn't really very satisfying. Yeah, I think overall this one was one of my least favorites of the fest, unfortunately. It was a regional premiere, though, as was Girl on the Third Floor, so it was cool to bring these things to Ohio, but I wasn't really into those as much. After that, I followed that up with One Bedroom, which I really liked. One Bedroom is a thriller about a girl who gets a new apartment when she starts a new life out in LA, and the apartment complex and all of its residents trap her within the complex and goes on from there. But I don't want to give any spoilers as to how everything goes down. I really enjoy this one. It features a really great performance from the lead actress who won at the awards for Nightmares. I'll get to the awards and the day's coverage where those were featured, which is day three. But she deservingly won for lead in that film. I thought she was very good. And yeah, this movie was super cool. Not going to be one of my favorites of the fest, but I did really enjoy it. It was a breezy watch, breezy 90-minute watch, and had some really good thriller moments. There's a period of the movie that kind of feels a little tortury, and I don't like stuff like that, so I'm not super into that section of the movie, but the kind of rest of the thriller aspect of the movie I did enjoy. After that was The Reckoning, or I'm sorry, Just Reckoning. It's a movie about the laws and how the people in the Appalachian Mountains sort of govern themselves, and the Appalachian Mountain Justice. It's a revenge thriller. It's very in the vein of like Winter's Bone, and the first half of the movie kind of plays like a lesser version of Winter's Bone. I wasn't crazy about the first half of the movie. But the second half of the movie, the thriller and revenge aspects really kick in, and I really liked the second half of the movie. So I do recommend this one. I would check this one out if it comes to a festival near you or gets released soon. This was a Midwest premiere, so it hasn't really played anywhere around here. I'm in Chicago, and that's in Ohio. So yeah, it's the first time it's played anywhere around me. So it's cool to check out. I did, like I said, like the second half. The first half, not so much for me, but I still it's enough to recommend, and also features a great lead female performance in that one. Follow that up with VFW, which is the sort of highly anticipated new movie from Joe Begos, who has done Mind's Eye, Almost Human, and recently Bliss. I've not seen any of his films yet, so this was actually the first one of his films I've gotten to see, which is really exciting because he's kind of a name in the genre now. So that was really cool to get to see one of his movies for the first time on the big screen. VFW stars Stephen Lang, William Sadler, and Fred the Hammer Williamson. Great cast, and it's basically about veterans keeping their veterans building safe from drug fueled mutants. Very cool movie. This movie ruled. Like, there's just no other way to say it. It was just cool, and it ruled. I had such a fun time with this movie. The performances are great. William Sadler, of course, steals the show, but in a movie filled with great performances. For Fred the Hammer's great. Stephen Lang is great. Everybody's super good in this movie, and it's a blast. It's pretty relentless, too. It has a very fast pace, and it's super fun. Flies by. The colors look great. I've got all good things to say about this one. This is another one of my favorites, probably, of the festival. And it opened with a short called Buffalo and Trout, which is a short that I recommend you check out if it comes to a festival near you or you see it. This might be one of my favorite shorts that I saw with a film. So I recommend that short as well. It's called Buffalo and Trout. I don't want to tell you too much about it because it's kind of weird and crazy, and I just would like you guys to just maybe stumble into it. But it has to do with drugs, and it paired well with VFW. Followed that up with a movie called A Nun's Curse. I also wasn't crazy about this one. This was sort of the last new movie of the night on day two. Kind of didn't go out with a bang. I didn't like this movie that much. It played more like it's called The Nun's Curse. It played more like a nun mockbuster kind of movie that you would rent at a video store accidentally instead of, like, say, The Nun in this case. Performances weren't great. I didn't think the movie, nothing really happens until like the last 5 minutes. I'm not crazy about this one. I didn't like it. I don't recommend it. It's called A Nun's Curse. I wish I had something good to say about it, but it's not for me. I didn't like it. The end of the night on day two was Necromantic. I've seen Necromantic before, so I actually didn't stay to watch it. I'm not a big extreme horror guy, so I didn't watch this one again. I've seen it, I've done it, I'm fine with it, but I didn't watch it. But it's a cool thing that Nightmares ended Friday with Necromantic, because I know that that's kind of a harder one to see on the big screen. So good choice on them for putting that in their program. All right, that's it for day two. I will be back with coverage on day three.